While Yellowstone National Park is known for fearsome beasts like grizzly bears and wolves, a slumbering supervolcano, and sudden earthquakes, it's the enchanting yet dangerous hot springs that hold a darker threat. Surprisingly, more lives are claimed by these inviting pools than by the park's formidable predators. Amid this danger, the tragic tale of Collin Scott stands out, a young man who wanted to swim where he shouldn't. In June, he tried to take a secret dip and met a gruesome demise. His ill-fated venture was recorded on his sister's phone. But what exactly transpired during Colin's ill-fated jump into the forbidden waters? How did the searing heat of the hot spring lead to his grim end? And was his body ever recovered from the unforgiving depths? Before we begin, you have been warned. This video is not for the faint of heart. Picture a vast and breathtaking piece of land that stretches across parts of 3 U.S. states: Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. This magical realm is none other than Yellowstone National Park. It's like stepping into a natural wonderland where every corner reveals something awe-inspiring, from towering mountains to meandering rivers, lush forests, and even a giant hidden underneath the ground. Now, let's zoom in on Yellowstone's heart. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, there's a big, quiet volcano called a supervolcano. It's like a sleeping giant that can awaken with a lot of power. But what makes this place truly special is its hydrothermal features. A fancy way of saying it has bubbling hot springs and geysers. These geysers can shoot up hot water and steam high into the air, sometimes as high as a tall building. And one geyser, Old Faithful, is like a celebrity in the park. It erupts with a predictable schedule, so people gather around to watch the show. Now, let's talk about hot springs. These are like warm, inviting pools of water, but there's a catch. They're not your average swimming pools. They're superheated by the Earth's fiery core, which makes them extremely hot. Some of these pools can be as scorching as 456 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about as hot as molten lava. But what's interesting is that these pools aren't just hot, they're also super colorful. The vibrant shades of yellow, orange, green, and blue come from a teeny tiny living thing called a microorganism that loves the hot water. To keep visitors safe while they explore these natural wonders, the park has built pathways called boardwalks. These let you get close to the beauty without risking burns from the hot water. But, just like a coin has 2 sides, even the most amazing places have their dangers. Even though it's bursting with stunning sights, some people can't help but be tempted to get even closer to the things that make it so incredible. This can sometimes lead them to step off the safe paths that have been set up for everyone's protection. One such story that really hits home is about a young man named Collin Scott. In 2016, Colin and his sister Sable were on an adventure in the Norris Geyser Basin. This part of Yellowstone is like a hotspot of bubbling waters and steamy vents. Colin and Sable started on a boardwalk, enjoying the breathtaking views all around them. The colors were so vibrant, like a rainbow melted into the ground. But then, the temptation to get an even better look took over. They decided to leave the safety of the boardwalk and venture out onto the unstable ground. As Sable recorded the enchanting scene on her camera, Colin moved farther and farther away. Eventually, he was about 225 yards from safety. Imagine a football field. That's how far it was. And he wasn't just taking pictures. He was testing the waters in the pools. It might sound odd, but some folks are so curious that they want to see how hot these pools really are. They even have a fancy name for it: hot spotting. Not only is this kind of adventure extremely dangerous, but it's also against the law. As Colin stepped onto the uneven ground to check how warm a pool was, something terrible happened. He slipped and fell into a very hot and acidic spring. While his sister Sable was recording everything, she tried to rescue him, but she couldn't. Colin was fully submerged in scorching water, and he couldn't get out. Sable ran to get help, but her phone had no signal in the area. So, she hurried to a nearby building and shouted for assistance. When the park rangers arrived, it was already too late. Colin was in the water, and they could see a small cross on his face. Colin's father later confirmed that Colin had been wearing a crucifix. As the investigation unfolded after Colin's tragic death, official police reports shed light on the events leading up to the heartbreaking incident. Colin and his sister, Sable, had ventured into an area strictly off-limits to visitors, driven by the ill-fated desire for an unauthorized swim. Despite the clear and prominent warning signs scattered throughout the area, the siblings chose to disregard them. These signs, like giant caution flags, were there to ensure the safety of all park visitors by urging them to stay on the designated boardwalks. Their aim was to find the perfect spot, a hidden gem of a pool for a refreshing dip. It's as if they were trying to uncover a secret treasure. But tragically, their quest ended in disaster. In the recorded footage, portions of Collin's head, upper body, and hands are visible as they hover over the alluring yet treacherous hot spring. But soon, the situation took a grim turn. The police report details. Due to the report of the individual not previously visible, a lack of movement, suspected extreme temperatures, and indications of several thermal burns, the subject was determined to be deceased. Rescuers, faced with the volatile and hazardous thermal area, were met with insurmountable challenges in their attempt to retrieve Collin's body. The unforgiving conditions, exacerbated by an incoming lightning storm, made the operation nearly impossible. When they returned the following morning, a devastating realization awaited them. Collin's body was nowhere to be seen. All that remained were his wallet and flip-flops, haunting remnants of a life lost. The tragic report, chillingly, points to the belief that Collin's body had undergone a gruesome fate. It is suspected that, overnight, the extreme conditions of the thermal spring had dissolved his remains entirely, leaving behind only echoes of a life cut short. This tragic incident serves as a stark reminder that venturing into forbidden territory not only disregards the established rules, but can lead to irreversible consequences. Collin's untimely demise paints a harrowing picture of the dangers that lie beneath the seemingly enchanting surface of Yellowstone's geysers and hot springs. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated case. Over the years, Yellowstone National Park has been witness to a series of heart-wrenching incidents, each highlighting the perilous nature of these geothermal wonders. Take, for example, the case of a group of tourists in 2000 who tragically wandered off the designated path and fell into a boiling hot spring. Their ill-fated decision cost them their lives and served as a somber warning of the deadly risk involved in straying from safety. Similarly, in 2016, a young man lost his life after venturing into an off-limits area near the park's most famous geyser, Old Faithful. Despite repeated warnings, he went off the boardwalk and slipped into scalding water. His unfortunate end underscored the importance of respecting the park's regulations and boundaries. Colin's tragic end and the numerous other incidents stand as cautionary tales, urging us to respect the rules, heed the warnings, and approach nature's marvels with the utmost caution. As we admire Yellowstone's remarkable beauty, we must remember that our safety is paramount, and the call of adventure must always be balanced with responsibility and respect for the rules set in place to protect us. Did you find this intriguing? If so, stay tuned for more fascinating stories like this by liking and subscribing to our channel.